Hello and welcome to episode 12 of my 12 Weaves of Christmas. I'm really excited about this one. This is the final episode and we're going to weave this really beautiful little angel. It incorporates simple basketry weaving techniques and it's just really pretty. It's not too difficult, won't take too long, doesn't take too much material. I've got a sharp little pair of secateurs. I've got some stripped white willow. But you can use any material you've got handy. Woody material works best. If you could use dogwoods. You can also use cane if you can't get hold of willow. And I have a little box. I use this for lots of different projects. It's been used for a number of things before. To make it last longer, I covered it in brown paper tape, which just makes the box more robust. So it means that I can use it again and again rather than just as a one-off thing. Okay, let's start. So in my box, I've got 16 holes. The depth is handy because it means I'll be able to do a track border at the end. And I'm just cutting off the ends of the rods. Okay, so now all of the rods are inside. I'm going to use some string just to tie them together. So the string's important just to give the stakes, my side stakes, some support. If I have it too far down, it'll be too difficult and too tight to weave. If I have it too high up, they won't really have any support, so that's probably a good height. For the base of my angel, I'm going to do a weave called a pairing weave, which is 2 rods woven together. So the principles of weaving are under, over, but with a pairing weave, I'm also going to make sure that the 2 rods that I'm weaving with are interlocking each other. So as well as going over, under, they're also going to go inside, outside of the weave together. So each turn, they lock each other in place as they go around. So I'm choosing 2 rods. They need to be very similar to each other. They need to be a similar length, similar thickness. So from my small bundle, I've just gone through it. I've chosen 2 rods that are the same length and they're the same thickness. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to weave to my right. And I've chosen a stake and I've got one of my rods on the inside of it and the other rod on the outside of the same stake. And then it's the rod that's on the outside. Just as one weave, it goes behind the next stake, moving to the right, and then out the next gap, and it's finished. So now it's the rod that's on the outside of the stake again, and it's the same stake that the other rod is on the inside of. This is the rod that I take, it goes behind the next stake and back out. So to describe my pairing weave, each of my 2 weavers is just doing 1 weave each, which is from the outside of the stake behind the inside of another stake and back out, and then it's done. That's 1 full weave. It creates a really lovely figure of 8 pattern and it makes a really useful triangle either side of the stake, which means I can set the stakes wherever I want as I go. Okay, so I've almost got to the thick end of my material. I need to make sure that my weaving material doesn't get thicker or as thick as my frame material. Otherwise, potentially these will start to warp my frame. So I'm stopping here and then I'm going to go through my bundle. I'm going to look for 2 rods that are the same length again. And then I'm just going to check them and make sure that they are the same thickness. And then I'm going to replace the weavers that I'm working with in the same way that I've been doing the weave. So it's the left rod that I'm going to work with first. I'm going to pull that to the side and add this one in the same gap. And now the other one has become the left one. So again, I'm going to pull it to the side and add this into the same gap. And I'm now just going to carry on the weave as before. Okay, I've got to my tips. I'm now going to do a tip to tip join. I'm replacing them in exactly the same way that I've been weaving. This is a lovely, mindful activity. I'm going nice and slow as I weave around my circle so that I get the best possible results. I'm pretty much at my tip again. I'm just going to thread the tips through my weave. I'm going to take my string off. And then I'm just going to give my angel a little weave. About here. So I'm going to do exactly the same weave again. Going to choose 2 rods that are the same length as each other and just check that they're the same thickness. With any kind of weaving, when you're working with willow or with a woody material, if you're doing weaves that work together, the more similar you can get your material to each other, the easier it will be to weave and the better results you'll get. So I'm being really quite pedantic about my material choice. So before I start, I need some tea. I'm going to start in exactly the same way again. I'm going to start with my tips. This time when I start my pairing weave, I don't have a base that I'm working to, so I'm going to use my left hand just to hold the material at the bottom as well as the top as I go. So I'm going to use my left hand like a little vice. Again, my material's coming out to the right of me because I'm right-handed, so I'm going to weave to the right. And I'm holding the 2 weavers as well in my left hand. One of the weavers is on the outside of a stake, and the other weaver is on the inside of the same stake. And then it's the weaver that's on the outside, that's the weaver that does the weave. So it goes behind the next stake and back out. And I'm just going to set my stakes where I want them to be as I go, and I'm going to move my left fingers along with me so that they're holding the structure at the right position and the right height, and everything's being supported. So once I've gone around that first time, I'm just shaping my structure and making sure that my stakes are where I want them to be before I carry on. I can tell straight away that I'm not going to go all the way to the butts, so I'm going to cut those down now, which means I don't have to put all of that material through the frame as I'm weaving, and it will make it a little bit easier to weave. Okay, I'm going to replace my stakes again. This time I've ended on the thick material, so I'm going to replace them with the thick material. I've got them together at the tip so that they're the same length at the tip, and then I'm cutting off any excess from the thick end. So it's the left one that would be woven first, the one that's on the outside of the stake. So that's the one I'm replacing. And I'm doing the next weave. And now the second weaver is the left weaver, it's the one on the outside of the stake. And these I can trim. So I'm just going to go around my structure and trim off all of the thicker ends. And then the rest I'm going to leave here at the bottom, here, until I've got to the end. Because I'm working with willow without the bark on, it can dry out really quickly. So it feels quite dry at my tips. So the next part of my angel, I've got a really secure little body. I now need to weave in some wings, and I need to think about a little angel head. It doesn't really matter where you start on your structure, just looking for an area that looks nice. I think I might go there. I'm choosing these two here, and I'm going to make sure that they're crossing each other straight away. These can go anywhere you like in your structure. If they're halfway around the circle, they'll come out to the side like that. If I want them to be more at the back, then if I weave them more towards the back, I'll show you with this one, they'll look like they're more at the back. Okay, once I've got my first two in, I'm then going to take the next two coming back, and they're going to go in at a diagonal too. So you're the next one. And as I come towards the back, I'm going to weave this into my first wing. And then I've got my next stick, so I'm taking alternate sticks each time. I'm just checking on my original angel. You can add the head wherever you like. But if I don't do them kind of in the center of where I'm weaving, if I do it, say I add all of the material into the wings and then I use the last few rods to do the head at the back, the head looks like it's detached from the rest of the body. So it doesn't matter where you add the head, but if I do it about now, so I've added 3 rods on either side into my wings, if I use the next 2 to 4 rods to weave into the head, it means that the rest of the material will then go back into the wings again, so it will look like the head's central to the body. This next rod I'm going to use to start making my head, and I'm just making sure that I do them in sequence. So the last weaver that I went into my wing went into that direction, so I'm choosing a rod from this side to come back into my head, and I'm just placing the angel in a position so that I can easily get to the head. And I really want to try not to kink it. So my first rod looks something like that. The next weaver will come from the opposite side again, so I'm still creating that crisscross. Okay, so that's 2 weavers in. I'm going really slow, I'm taking my time because I want to do a good job. When working with willow, if you can keep big arches on your willow as you're weaving, so if I can keep a nice big arch, it's less likely to kink. So when I'm adding material into the head, I'm always going to the tip rather than weaving it from kind of here. It's much more likely to kink if I go from there. If I go to my tip and feed the tip through, I can keep this big arch. Okay, I'm really happy with that. That's a cute little head. I can now take it off the cardboard box. There we go. And then my box is useful for another project. On the one that I've got finished here, I've done a very simple track border. So each of these stakes coming down has gone behind the next stake to the right of it, out, and then I've just cut it off. I'm going to look around my structure. I'm looking for a nice, really thin rod, because that's going to be my last rod. So the thinnest rod, the rod that I've decided is going to be my final rod, that's going to have to weave through where I've already woven. So I've chosen a thin one for that, and I'm going to choose the rod to the right of it to start weaving. And I'm just going to kink it with my fingernail so that there's enough space for a willow rod to go through there. And then I'm simply going to go behind the next stake and back out. My next stake I can kink on the previous one so that the kink's in the right place, and then it's going to go behind the next stake and back out again. So initially they're going to look something like that. I'm going to take each stake in turn, and I'm trying to kink them at about the same level all the way around. I'm really taking my time as I go around so that I get the best results possible. Okay, so I've just got this final rod to put in place, so I'm going to kink it. It needs to go through that final gap so that when I finish there'll be a single rod coming out of each gap. To make it easier to get it to go into that bit, I'm going to give it a few extra kinks. And if I have it cut to a point as well, that will make it easier to feed it through. My structure's not even on the base, so once they're all in, if I give it a good bang on my table, I should be able to get it flatter. There, that's standing, so I'm happy with that. I'm now going to trim the remaining bits of these willow, the thicker bits at the base, and I'm just making sure as I cut them that they're against the stake that they're next to, so that they can't pop undone. And there we have my finished little willow angel. I've really enjoyed this 12 Weeks of Christmas series. I hope you enjoy making as much as I have creating it for you all. Let me know what you think in the comments, and good luck with your woven project.